What up, everyone? So, time for a new video. I've been trying to get better about making more videos, and I've been doing a little bit better. I was only doing them like once every 3 months. Now I'm doing them like once every month and a half. So, I keep trying to brainstorm ways to be more consistent about the channel. I keep having ideas for things I want to do. I have the hardest time making time for it, or even remembering to. So I've been brainstorming a lot of ideas about how to do regular things, like weekly things, or even more often than that, instead of waiting for content to come to me, just making videos and making my own content, which I know doesn't make much sense. But I'm just trying to let you guys know that I am out there and I am thinking. I am still trying to keep this alive in any way that I can, because I'm never gonna quit. I'm always gonna keep doing this, even if no one's watching, and that's fine with me. So anyway, this video is something I used to do a long time ago called a weekly roundup, and basically it was things that I found in the week, things that I picked up and collected, and it's things that sometimes I do specific reviews of series or of figures because I have a lot to say about them. There's a lot to talk about. But there's so many things that I pick up during my outings, whatever I'm doing, that are cool and they're worth showing off and worth mentioning, and sometimes I have like a quick 2 cents to throw in about it, but they're not enough to require their own video. So I'm not going to make individual videos of each one. And I was trying to just make little postings on Instagram about them, but I'm terrible at that. I'm so horrible at keeping up with social media and stuff like that. I've tried so hard and I just can't turn my brain on to remember to do that. I don't know what it is. I have a mental block there. So if I ever can, I definitely will. But in the meantime, I think I want to try and at least do weekly videos of things I've collected, and I want to do a video of things that are coming out soon, things to talk about, things to look forward to, and then maybe one other category of video on either pop culture or video games or something like that. So those are what I'm thinking. So essentially I'm going to go through a bunch of shit that I've found lately, and they're in no specific category. It's just things that I've found that I like, that I want to either weigh in on, or I'd like to hear your guys' opinions on them, or just quickly talk about it. Or sometimes it's just cool stuff that I don't think people know is out there, and I want to show that to you so maybe you can get it for yourself. So I'll just kind of go through things in no particular order, and I'll do my best to put like timestamps in there, but it's kind of hard because they're just so all over the place. But anyway, we'll just get right to it. I'm just going to start grabbing stuff that I've got. So something that came in today that I'm actually pretty excited for, I picked up this Funko Advent Calendar. Now this is one that's a holiday calendar, and I'm sure you've seen some of these out there. They have a lot that came out this year, and this one's for Pint-Sized Heroes. Now this one is just a Freddy Funko, and it's just kind of a general holiday theme. So you know the Freddy Funko Pops, it's just always him dressed up as another character, and that's pretty much what it is here. Him dressed up as a snowman or Rudolph or something from the holidays, and there's one for each of the 24 days before Christmas. So I think that's really cool. I think it's really fun, and the reason I got this is because I actually really like Pint-Sized Heroes. I always have. Like, they've always been special to me. I don't like most of the series Funko puts out, and pop figures have always just been okay to me, but I've always liked Pint-Sized Heroes. They're small, they're really easy and nice to put on shelves back here. They're very simplistic, but like intentionally so, and I just like that. They're just fun, and they're pretty cheap and fun to collect, and the series they have are pretty cool, so I've always been a fan. And the only downside to them is that they're not very collectible. They're very rarely ever worth a lot of money. They're very rarely ever hard to get. So it's not one of those things you collect because you think it's going to be worth something, because they're really not now, and they probably never will be. It's more just if you like them and for aesthetic senses. And the other problem with it is I don't like most of the series they do, and it's really unfortunate. Same with Mystery Minis. They just keep picking franchises that I just don't care about, or they do franchises that look like crap. Like anytime Marvel does a series, or sorry, anytime Funko does a Mystery Mini series that's Marvel, they always look like shit. They're always so terrible, and Marvel's like my favorite fandom. So Pint-Sized Heroes is one where anytime I've seen the characters, I've still liked them. So I have all the Marvel ones, all the DC ones, all the video gaming ones, so like the Street Fighter, Mega Man, all those. All the series I've liked, I've collected. And when I saw this, I really wanted this, but at the time I thought it was very expensive, because this goes for $50, which sounds very expensive at first, but when you think about it, it's actually kind of worth it, because there's 24 in here, and even on the cheap side of things, Pint-sized hero at the cheapest is usually $3, and that's really dirt cheap there. So when you do the math, 3 times 24, that's 72. So 50 is actually not that bad of a deal. The only reason it seemed a little more expensive too is because it's not really any specific franchises. It's just kind of general Christmas Freddy Funko. But I wanted to get it, and I looked on eBay, and these are things I want to talk about. This was going for a lot on eBay. The cheapest one I was finding it was for like $169, and that's a crazy amount. But I realized with a lot of other series too, that there's no limited run on this. And this came out in 2017, and I thought they were going to re-release it, and they did. They've been re-releasing it every single year. So I wanted to, this is the advice I have to give. If anyone is looking for this, do not buy it on eBay. Do not pay more than $50 for it. Wait for Funko to re-release it at the right time of year. So they re-release it right before December. And I got it today, and it's already December 2nd, which, I didn't get on the 1st, no big deal. But anyway, I was almost going to pay that crazy amount because I thought it wasn't going to be re-released. But it is. It gets re-released every year, but that's also the downside. These are probably never going to be worth any money because they're just going to keep re-releasing and re-releasing until they redo the series, which after the 3rd release is not being redone. So again, not going to be worth anything, but I thought it was fun. And I also wanted to bring up that I got the Marvel Advent Calendar. That one has 24 as well, but that one I was really disappointed in because most of them do pint-sized heroes. That makes the most sense. They're small, they're simplistic, they're like little figures for 24 days. That makes the most sense. But the Marvel ones are weird for some reason. They didn't do pint-sized heroes, but they also didn't do the mini pop figures. They did this like weird Mod Podge of the two, where it was like halfway between a pint-sized hero and halfway between the mini pop figures. And I don't even really know what to call them. Most people are calling them online pint-sized heroes, but they're not. So I wasn't really impressed with the design quality, and that's why I didn't get it. Those sets are cheaper, by the way, though. Those ones only go for $40, whereas this one went for $50 on the Funko site. With shipping, you gotta pay for that too. So the Marvel ones are $40, and you can probably get them much cheaper for like Black Friday sales at GameStop and stuff like that, because they always put stuff on sale. But I was just really disappointed in the design quality. I ended up, someone bought it for me as a gift, so I still do like it. I think it's cool, and I'll check it out. And when that comes, I think I'll put that in the weekly roundup of whenever that shows up and do a more in-depth review of those, because by the pictures I saw, I was not impressed with the quality at all. I could be wrong. They may look better in person, but I don't think so. So I will bring that up in the future. So I just thought I'd share that with you. So there's that. That's the item 1. The next item was also from GameStop, and these I'm pretty excited about. And it is these Batman and Ninja Turtles sets right here. So this is actually the 4th one, and they have the last one. They have 5 sets coming out in a couple days. I've already pre-ordered it, so it should be coming. And I found out about these after the first 2 had come out, so I had to catch up. And the problem with these is I looked online, and they were going for crazy prices. Like the cheapest I could find some of them were like $75. And I think the MSRP on these is $50. So not a crazy price, like $50 is not that much more, but it still was a lot. So I thought at the time these were going to be really valuable, but then I came to the conclusion pretty quickly that they're not going to be. And I wasn't buying them because I thought they'd be valuable. I thought I genuinely liked them and I wanted to get them, but I thought they'd be worth a lot. But all that happened is they got back ordered. I think all that happened with GameStop is that, like me, people didn't realize they were coming out. There was no like big announcement or anything like that. So people didn't know they were there, and when people found out, they scooped them all up and they were in back order. But same thing with these, same thing with the Advent Calendar. There is no limited run. So just like things in Target and places like that, GameStop doesn't do a limited run. So if they sell out of something, they're just going to order more and fill the shelves again until they stop selling. So again, these were worth something at first because they were back ordered, but as soon as the next wave of shipments come in, they're not going to be worth anything. The same thing happened with Amiibo when they first came out. Those were crazy hard to get. And some of them went for over $150 a piece, but then they just re-released them and then they became worthless. So I just, again, want to give people advice and make sure you know, if you're looking for these, just be patient. Don't pay some crazy price. They're going to come back in store. Just wait it out. The one that's been the hardest to find has been the Donatello and Batgirl one. And that one I had, sorry, screensaver went off. That one I had pre-ordered, but it was like, ended up being like 3 weeks late. and I got tired of waiting, so I hit my friend that works at GameStop and said, hey, do you have any of these? And canceled my pre-order and bought it in store. But that's the one I've seen go for the highest price online, so maybe that one was backordered the most. But again, they'll just make more of them, so don't pay a crazy price, just wait it out. Anyway, as far as a review on the product, I really like these. I think they did a genuinely good job. So, in general, I'm not a big fan of action figures. I never really have been because I like things for the more aesthetic sense. I'm never going to play with these things. So that's the reason I don't like action figures, is because they have a lot of appendages and like points of articulation, and I think that takes away from the sculpt and design. So in general, I usually don't collect them. But these ones don't too much. I think they did a really good job. And as you can see, they have a matte finish to the paint job. So I've mentioned this so many times before with any sort of collectibles. There's two kinds of way they get color on a figure. They either have the plastic or vinyl or whatever they make it out of, and they dye it a certain color, or they have a neutral color vinyl and they paint over it. And you can absolutely tell the difference. If it's just colored plastic or vinyl, it has a glossy finish to it, and you tell it isn't painted over. But if it is painted over, it's like a wall, like this white wall here. It has a matte finish to it. Therefore, it's not like really shiny and glossy, and I've always liked that much better. And I've always encouraged companies, whenever they seek my advice, to do that, because people like me can tell the difference, and it looks so much better and so much more professional if they take the time to paint it. I understand why companies don't, because it is much easier and cheaper to just have the colored plastic there versus painting it, because it takes a lot of control to get it in very specific lines. So the more detailed the figure is, the harder it is to do so. So that's why usually the base is the color of the figure. So most Ninja Turtle action figures you'll see, the plastic is colored green, and then they'll usually put a little bit of paint over for the mask and so on and so forth. But these ones actually didn't do that. They have painted all over the figure, so it's an all-over matte finish, which I really appreciate. And I like the overall design of the figures. There have been a lot of different turtle designs over the years, and I think they did a genuinely good job on this one. I really like it. The only thing I thought was kind of weird, and you know, I know they did release the movie recently, which I still haven't checked out, and I have it in my room. I purchased it, or someone purchased it for me. I just haven't gotten around to watching it. I know, shame on me. But the villain wasn't Joker like you'd assume. So it would make the most sense that the last set would be Shredder and Joker, but it's actually Ra's al Ghul, which is fine. He's a cool character and all, but I don't know. I just thought that was kind of weird. So maybe they're just intentionally trying to mix it up because there's too much Joker stuff out there and they're trying to promote their lesser-known characters. That's fine, but you know, I just thought it was interesting and worth mentioning and stuff like that. And I also have a specific proclivity to this series because I was actually there when this crossover first happened. Was from a comic series. They did Batman and Ninja Turtles, and it was illustrated by Freddie Williams, who's an amazing artist, by the way. I've always wanted to pick up some of his art, but it's crazy expensive, but validly so because he's so good. But I met them both. I met Freddie Williams and Kevin Eastman. They had a special event for that comic release, and I was there. I met them both, like shook hands with them, they signed stuff, and they drew me pictures. They each drew me a picture of Leonardo and of Batman on comic covers, and I have those. It was so cool. So I really like this crossover series, and I think they did a really good job on these figures. And I can't wait for the last one to come in. I even got the specialty one where Michelangelo's dressed as Batman, which is separate from the set of 5 pairs. But yeah, so the last one is Shredder and Ra's al Ghul, and that comes out in a couple days now because it's December 2nd today, and I think it comes out on the 5th. So that'll be coming in. So, but all the figures generally are very well done, and they have a lot of trade out hands and masks too. So I thought that was really cool, and there's just a lot of attention to detail on all the little figures in there and all the little appendages. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. But you know, same thing as I said before. They seem like they're going to be valuable. I promise you they're not going to be. They made so many of those, so don't get them for collector's value and think you're going to resell them because it's just not going to happen, at least not anytime soon. Only get them if you genuinely like that series. Alright, moving on. Some other things I picked up. Some Amiibo, which I mentioned earlier. And the only reason I bring these up is because, for 2 reasons. For one, I think they've really stepped up the quality on these. So they have the first run of them when they had Smash on Wii U, and now they have Smash Ultimate, and they didn't re-release the old figures, which I don't really like. I think that was a bad call on their part. One, because it makes the figures worthless, and I really don't like that, because I went through a lot of trouble to get those original figures back in the day. I remember camping out overnight at like Target and stuff like that to get figures, and if you didn't camp out, you didn't get them, because like I said, they went for like over $100 sometimes. So it's just kind of a bummer that years later they just re-release the exact same figures, and all that trouble I went through is for nothing. And now the ones I have from a while ago are pretty much worthless. And I think that's really shitty, honestly. I don't think that's a good call on their part. But I don't expect them to make all new molds, because I know it takes a long time. They release 3 at a time, and it's only like every 3 to 6 months. So they take a long time to do, and I get that. So what I would have suggested they did is all the characters they've done, as you see behind me, re-release the same mold, just alter the paint job. That's it. That's all I would have asked for, because all these characters have at least one alternate paint job that they're known for. Like Mario, when he gets the fire flower, that red and white paint job, do that one. Or Luigi, where he has the white and green, like, do that one. Like, it wouldn't be that hard to do. You wouldn't have to make a new mold. Just change some of the paint dyes. It would have been super simple. It would have made people happy. It would have made Nintendo a shitload of money, because people would have gone out and bought those alternate ones. It would have made the ones that people already have bought still valuable, and I think that would have been a win-win in the long run. They didn't do that, and I think that was a very poor choice on their part. I really don't agree with that. So back to the ones they are releasing is basically the new characters that haven't been released. So they've always done a good job. I think these are very well done figures. They're sculpted well, and they were painted decently. If anyone remembers trying to collect the original series, if you bought them in a store, you usually had to rifle through a couple of them and compare which ones, because the paint jobs were kind of shit, and you really had to see like which one of those there had the best paint job and then get that one. And I've tried to do that with this newer series, but I haven't noticed that as much. So I think they've actually stepped up the quality. The sculpt seems a lot better, and the paint job seems a lot better as well. It's not crazy intricate or anything like that, but at least they are better about staying in the lines and keeping it all symmetrical and things like that, where the first series definitely had an issue with that. Now, the thing that sucks about this, they have stepped up the quality, but now they're more expensive, which I also think was kind of a dick move. And I'd like to say that it was because they've stepped up the quality, but I don't think it was. I don't know if it's really costing them that much more, because their original figures, if I'm remembering correctly, were $13. And these ones are like $16 and sometimes $16.99, which is, that's just like teetering over the edge of like, now it's expensive. Like, that's expensive for a small figure. And especially the numbers that these come in, there's what, 85, 86 characters in Smash right now, and more coming out every couple of months. That's a fucking lot of money. Like, $16 a piece. So I thought it was crappy that they bumped it up to 16, are re-releasing the old ones still at 13, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like they're making a lot of bad moves, so I hope that they do release the older ones in alternate paint jobs. They haven't done that, but maybe that's their long-term goal after they've released all these characters as a money grab to try and re-release them with alternate paint jobs. I thought they were going to do that with the original series, and they never did, so I'm really not sure why. It just seems like a missed opportunity on their part. But overall, I really like these figures. The ones I've picked up are obviously the new characters, all the ones that have come out. These are the old ones back here, and I haven't set up the new ones yet. But I really do think they do a good job. And I would leave them in the package, because those are really well done too. I think they do a good job in the package. The only reason I haven't is for space issue. And I know that I would say that affects the value overall, but now seeing as all the old ones are pretty much worthless, like, now I don't feel so bad taking them out. And it would be really hard to fit 85 of these on like one wall, whereas right now I can kind of just do on this small shelf right here. So I really like these. I think they've done a genuinely good job. And I've actually gotten into collecting Amiibo even from other than Smash Brothers series. Disney did it for a hot second with their Infinity figures, and I collected all those too. I thought they were great, but I guess the game never took off, so they never continued with them. But those are really well done too, and I was bummed that that series ended. So I'd like to see more figures like this, where they aren't posable or anything like that. They serve a purpose because they work in the game, but they're also just genuinely nicely done figures. So I hope they explore more options, and I hope Disney jumps back on that bandwagon and does stuff with Marvel too. I hope they do. That's what I hope to see. Alright, there's the spiel on Amiibo. Next, what do we got? So I got some Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. As you can see, I'm a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan. And I love pretty much anything that comes out from them, because for the longest time we didn't get many collectibles from them. Because in retrospect, it was only one movie that was 25 years ago. So it's not super likely that for collectibles to come up for that. Recently, a bunch have. It seems like they're pushing them out like crazy. There have been so many pop figures from Nightmare Before Christmas of characters that weren't even in the movie, like different iterations of Jack Skellington. I got one the other day that was like a Sugar Skull version of Jack, which is like never been in any movie ever, but I still thought it was cool. So here's some stuff that I thought's worth mentioning, and I do want to talk in depth about one review that I got here. So we have these 5-star figures, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, most of them suck. Not just Nightmare Before Christmas, most of the 5-star ones, when I originally saw the series, I thought they looked stupid. But every once in a while, they'll do ones that actually are really cool. It's like 1 in 10 that are worth getting. And again, these I don't think are ever going to be worth anything. It's going to be a very short-lived series, but every once in a while they do a really good job. And one example is Oogie Boogie here. They did a great job, and he comes with a little spider, and he comes with a little die right there. And they have a really attention to detail. It's hard to see from this camera because the definition is not high enough. If you can really look closely, you can actually see he's texturized. So he actually has that like potato sack texture like he does in the movie. And I like his proportions, and I like the way they did him. They've always had a hard time making him into figures, and I'm going to talk about the mystery minis here in a minute, and that's a perfect example. They just could never get the proportions right. And this one they really did. And I think they did okay on Jack and Sally and some of the kids from the movie, but those are just okay. And most of the other 5-star figures I think are complete crap. They look really stupid. But some of them are good. And the thing I've liked about them is their little accessories. Like Loyal Subjects always does. They put a lot of attention to detail in these very tiny accessories, and I really appreciate that. I don't think it's any surprise to say I'm a fan of miniatures, so when they put attention to detail in those small things like that, I like that. And I've almost bought some 5-star figures because of the accessories. They have just such cool accessories, even if I don't like the character. It's like, I'm just so impressed by that. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Just that one is the one I like, though. And I'm probably going to get Jack. Check. Sorry. Having video troubles. Computer's being shitty. Sorry, like I was saying, I'm going to probably get the Jack one that comes with 0. I think he's okay looking, but I don't think they did a fantastic job. So, iterations that I do think they did a great job on are some of the Jack pop figures. 2 I'd like to mention. The one where he comes with this house, which isn't exclusive to anywhere, but I still thought it was cool, and he has the little drawing. Check. Video keeps pausing. Fuck. He has a little drawing of himself in his hand, which I thought was cool, and they did a really good job on the house. And they're getting better at the overall design of Jack. I think the design gets better and better each time they do them. So this one probably never going to be worth a ton of money or anything like that because it's not exclusive. But I really like that. I like that they're doing dioramas now. I appreciate that a lot because you get so tired of just the generic pop figures that are just people standing there. It's taken them so long to do dioramas and scenes and stuff, but I'm glad they finally are. Speaking of which, one I am a huge fan of is Jack with the Fountain. I've always been a fan of this fountain from the movie. I've always wanted to get a statue from it. I don't know what it is about. I've just always thought it's really cool. And they've never really put him in like a figure set before. Now this one is exclusive to Box Lunch. So this one I can see going up in value pretty significantly, depending on how many they did. Now, Box Lunch, again, they don't do limited runs on them. The only reason it might be worth something is because there's very few Box Lunch stores out there. But I've noticed they do really good choices. Every time I'm online and I see a figure I haven't seen before and I want to buy it, it's like, oh, Box Lunch exclusive. And it's like, what the hell? Why are they getting all the good stuff? And why don't I have any of those stores around me? Like, that's crappy. But they're doing a good job, and I thought this was a really cool diorama, so if you haven't checked this out yet, you still can get it for fairly cheap. I was able to get this for just over $30, and I think the MSRP on it is, yeah, $32.90. So you still can get it within that price.